Ladies and gentlemen, the season is over. The regular season of the NBA has officially wrapped up about an hour ago. So we're here, y'all. We're at the postseason time. It's postseason, it's playoffs, it's play-in, and what a better time than to dive into some awards, dive into a little bit of a play-in preview. Not going to do playoffs here today. I'll save that for next weekend. I think I'll have Tanner on with me, hopefully, and we'll dive into the playoffs in totality. May touch on a few things today, as we've got a few series that are already kind of set up. But today's agenda is awards, and we'll talk a little play-in because there's a lot to get into. There's a lot of moving parts and a lot of highly contested races, especially when it comes to these awards. So I'll just let y'all in on my thinking, and y'all can kind of let me know what y'all are thinking if you want to. So let's get right into it, man. I say we just jump right into the big one right away. That's what you all are here for, right? So MVP. This year's MVP race has been one of the most closely contested races that we've seen over the past 10 or so years between the top two guys, mainly with Nikola Jokic and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And you have other guys as well who have had MVP caliber seasons like Giannis Antetokounmpo and Jason Tatum, and I've seen some people throw Donovan Mitchell and Stephen Curry and Anthony Edwards, in that bunch. But it's really a two-horse race when it comes to MVP. And I've flip-flopped, man. I've flip-flopped all year because both of these guys have had two of the best regular seasons that we've ever seen, that we have absolutely ever seen. And it's going to be a deal where whoever gets snubbed, their fan bases and their supporters are going to feel some type of way. And I understand it. I get it because of the seasons that each of these guys has had. They've both been absolutely outstanding. But as of today, and this is everything you hear today is set in stone. It's what I'm going to roll with as my award predictions, as my award ballot, if I had a ballot to give. But as of today, my MVP for the 2024-2025 season is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, yes, he barely edges out Nikola Jokic, and I'll tell you why. So we know the counting stats on the season for both are just ridiculous. Shai at 33 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, and Jokic at 29 points, 13 rebounds, 10 assists. Counting stats are crazy for both of them. The efficiency numbers are out of this world. And if you look at on-offs, if you look at all the advanced numbers, they're both at the top of the list in both of those categories. If you look just at plus minus, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is over 250 points. 250 points more than the second place guy, who I believe is Derek White, as the season has come to an end. Absolutely insane stuff. We know the box plus minus, Jokic is always number one in box plus minus. But to see that number from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he's plus 910 on the season when he's on the floor. That's ridiculous, man. That's absolutely ridiculous. And when you think about, some people's argument for MVP is best player, best team, and I get that, and I don't have set that as a basis at the same time. And I know plus minus is a flawed stat as well in some aspects, but man, you see OKC this year, 68-14. You see the raw numbers from SGA. You see the advanced numbers. You see the defensive impact that he brings along with his offensive impact. In terms of offensive efficiency, he's number one. And you would think it would be like the other way around. You would think Jokic would be the big-time offensive guy, and SGA would, have all the defensive numbers. But SGA is the number one ranked offensive player this year, according to a lot of metrics. So he has that going for him. His team has been, insane, which a lot of people, rationalize Jokic winning, which I understand. The Thunder are definitely a lot better of a team than the Nuggets are. And so I get that argument. But for me, it's going to be Shai Gilgeous-Alexander this year, just based on the fact that he is doing it at an all-time level on both ends on a 68-14 Oklahoma City Thunder team, which is absurd. He's 50, 40, 90 from the floor almost. Just barely missed it as he's 37% from three. But he's everything you want. He's everything you want in an MVP candidate. He's spearheading the best team. He's clearly the best player on that amazing, amazing team. But if it were to go to Nikola Jokic, I would not be surprised, and I would not be against it, as he has had an unreal year as well. But I think if there's going to be a year to give it to SGA, I think this is the year, and that's not my basis, because in the past two Jokic MVP years, this year is actually better from Jokic than those past two seasons were. But Shea's season has just been all-time. It has truly been an all-time guard season from Shea. The advanced numbers back it up. The raw numbers back it up. They win at an unreal level. And you get this, too. You have these raw numbers from SGA, leading the league in scoring. Do you know that he has not played in a fourth of his team's games in the fourth quarter this year? And you know why that is? Because they are already up by 25 to 30 points in those games where he's not even needed. He's not even needed. His work is done. So imagine if he did have 16 more fourth quarters of play. He could average 35, 36 points per game. We're talking about James Harden level numbers, prime James Harden level scoring numbers. It's very similar to that in the way, and I know we have the whole free throw discourse with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. The way I stand on that is every great scorer in this league, especially from the guard position, is going to look to get to the free throw line. Every great scorer is going to have a little bit of foul baiting tendencies in their game. That's just the way it is. So I don't know why Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is so singled out on this. I don't know why this agenda has taken off as much as it has. Maybe it's the volume. Maybe it's the fact that he is, the hot and upcoming player, and like they just have to find some flaw to his game, because it's hard. It's really hard to find a flaw in his game, and he's just shown all year his consistency, game in and game out on both ends is unreal. But SGA is going to be my MVP for this year. But for anyone who has Jokic, and as of like 2 or 3 weeks ago, I probably had Jokic as well. But it's going to be SGA for me. Where should we go next? Let's go to Defensive Player of the Year. Because Defensive Player of the Year was Wemby's. It was Wemby's far and away. He still leads the league in total blocks, and he hasn't played since before the All-Star break, which is absolutely absurd. So once Wemby went down, it kind of just opened up the race for anybody. And we've had a lot of guys, make their case. We've had Draymond Green go on his podcast and be vocal about him feeling deserving of that award. And it got to the point where we saw him rise to the top of the odds for the award. He's no longer first place. Evan Mobley has passed him again. Evan Mobley was initially the favorite once Wemby went down. But you've got a guy like Dyson Daniels, who's averaging 3 steals a game, by far leading the league in steals. And he's widely regarded as the best perimeter defender in the NBA this season, maybe only rivaling Amen Thompson and Lou Dort maybe. And maybe I'll throw my guy in there too, Toumani Camara. But this is going to be an award. I'm so interested to see which way this goes, because this is the first time that I've really ever seen guys really lobby for it the way that they do. Guys are being vocal about them deserving this award. For me, and this is a hard one for me this year. A week or so ago, I had Draymond Green before I really dug into numbers, before I really dug into the season in totality. But it's going to be Evan Mobley for me. It's going to be Evan Mobley for me with this award. The Cavs on the season, they're the 8th ranked defense, and Evan Mobley is a big catalyst of that. He's got 2.5 stocks per game on the year for those who care about the raw steal and block numbers. But his diversity, his versatility defensively, where he's one of those guys that can truly guard 1 through 5. He can get stuck on switches on guards and do more than hold his own. He can actually really lock up on the perimeter as a 7-foot forward. It's really incredible to watch Evan Mobley play defense. And this was hard though, because Draymond Green has really come on strong, especially in the second half of the season. The Warriors are currently ranked as the fourth or fifth best defense after today. So the case can be made for Draymond Green, and advanced numbers actually like Draymond Green as the guy. But I like Evan Mobley based on the season in totality. I think that he has been the most important player on the best team in the Eastern Conference this year, the Cleveland Cavaliers, which is saying something because they have so many guys that they've relied on this season and that have been really, really big for them. But I think on both ends, you think about the impact, I think Evan Mobley's defensive impact has probably been the biggest on that team this season. And I had Dyson Daniels and Draymond Green as my runners up here. I had to show love to Dyson Daniels, and I always like to, throw a guard into my Defensive Player of the Year finalists. So Dyson Daniels' guard defensive season has been unreal. Steal percentage, 3 steals per game, deflections, it all points to Dyson Daniels. Team defense, obviously, for the Hawks is never going to be good with Trae Young as your star player. But Dyson Daniels is a great guy to have in the backcourt with a guy like Trae Young. And he really... I'm just going to go ahead and segue into my next award. This is most improved. I have Dyson Daniels. I have Dyson Daniels as my winner of the most improved award, not only because of his defensive impact, but because of his offensive jump. And this is an award that is likely going to go to Cade Cunningham. And Cade Cunningham has had a great season. He's had an incredible season. But the discourse around this award, and a point that I strongly agree with, is that this award, the Most Improved Player award, should not be given to someone who was like a top 3 pick and it's like year 2 or year 3 or maybe year 4 of their progression and they rise into a level of stardom. Like that was kind of expected, right? Like you were a top 3 pick. Like we expected that to happen at some point. It's not super unexpected. So from that perspective, how can we give you Most Improved Player of the Year if we expected your improvement, And when you look at the, winners of this award in the past, I think of my guy, CJ McCollum, the year that he won it. He jumped from 4 points, averaging 10 minutes per game, to 20 points per game and having the second most minutes on the team, on a playoff team. Like, it's jumps like that, man. It's jumps like Dyson Daniels this year. It's jumps like Norman Powell's. It's jumps like Peyton Pritchard's and Ty Jerome's that really make this award what it is. And that's not to, like I said, that's not to discount guys like Cade Cunningham and like Ja Morant when he won it. So, but I went with Dyson Daniels. Raw numbers, he's jumped up about 9 points from last season. He's jumped up 2 rebounds. He's jumped up 2 assists. He's jumped up a steal and a half. And obviously his minutes are way up from where they were in New Orleans as he's a starter on this Atlanta Hawks team. And he has been, outside of Trae Young, the most important player on the team this season. And he's just been awesome. My runner-up, I have Ty Jerome as my runner-up for this award from Cleveland. He has been unreal off that bench for a guy that missed all of last season with injury. Before that, he was like a two-way guy. So he's kind of an afterthought in this league, and those are the kind of guys that I like to see, in the finals as the finalists of this award. But I went with Dyson Daniels. If he's not gonna, get Depoy love, I'll give him MIP love, and I think it's well deserved. Jumping now to 6th Man of the Year. You have some candidates I already mentioned, Ty Jerome and Peyton Pritchard. Those 2 guys I could see very well winning it. But I decided to go a different direction. I'm going with Malik Beasley, man. I'm going with Malik Beasley from the Detroit Pistons. He is averaging 16 points per game this season, shooting 41% from 3 on over 10 attempts a game for Malik Beasley. That is absurd efficiency for a high-volume shooter on a team that is firmly in the playoffs as the 6th seed. And he has been one of the most impactful players on the team this season on a minimum contract. came into the team this offseason as just like a veteran addition to come off the bench, maybe be a spark plug in a game or two here and there. No, he's been consistent all year shooting the basketball, and he is really, really spearheaded alongside Cade Cunningham and Jalen Duren that Detroit Pistons offense. So I got to show Malik Beasley some love, man, especially after a rough end to the season last year in Milwaukee. He's had some rough stops in LA, and he's had his rough moments in Utah and other places as well. He's had his good moments too. He's had his, he's a streaky shooter. By nature, he's a streaky shooter. That's what we know him as. And this year, we saw the very good side of Malik Beasley. So shout out to him. I have Peyton Pritchard second in this award. And I had Peyton Pritchard as my winner as of a few weeks ago. But I think just the way Malik Beasley has impacted a winning Detroit Pistons team, which is crazy to say, I got to give it to Malik Beasley, man. Rookie of the Year in a class that has been widely considered as the most underwhelming rookie class that we've seen in a very long time. And I understand people saying that, but we've seen some guys really be solid contributors from this rookie class. With that being said, there's no runaway for this award. And with Jared McCain going down in December, he looked like the guy that was going to be the runaway guy for this award. But with him going down, it opened up the door for other guys like Jalen Wells, who led it for a while, and Stephon Castle and Zachary Reese-Shea to really step in and, make their case known. I decided to go with Stephon Castle. I think he's just been one of the more consistent guys all year. He's at 14.5 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. And especially in the second half of the season, he's really gotten downhill. He's really gotten to his spots really well. And he looks really comfortable. I think All-Star Weekend really helped him out to be front and center, to have done the dunk contest, to have really shown out in the Rising Stars competition. He really used that as a launching pad into the second half of the season, I think, on a Spurs team that without, Wemby and without Fox for most of it, needed some guy to really step up and take the reins. And for a rookie Stephon Castle to do that, I think was really cool, and I think it's going to propel him to win this award. I have Zachary Reese-Shea in second. His shooting season was definitely much improved the second half of the season. He's coming off a 38-point game against Brooklyn last week. And he's had some performances like that this year where he has really looked the bill of his number one pick pedigree. He's not your typical number one pick, as we know. Like you've heard nothing about him all year if you're not really tapped into the league. And he's been solid. He's been quietly solid for that Atlanta Hawks team. Not your typical number one overall pick, flashiness, but Zachary Reese-Shea has been solid, and Jalen Wells is my third guy. Get well soon, Jalen Wells. Looking forward to watching you next season. Yeah. Last player award here, the Clutch Player of the Year. This was a no-brainer for me. It's Nikola Jokic. Listen to these numbers for Nikola Jokic in the clutch. This is per 100 possessions in the clutch. 47 points per game. 16.5 rebounds. 12 assists. You want that player on your team? Yeah, I imagine you do. I would imagine you do. There's not really more to be said on this. I think the numbers just speak for themselves for this award, and that's usually what it is. He's had some clutch moments this year. That double overtime game against Phoenix where he had the 30-20-20 game. Unreal stuff. This is Jokic's award, I think. Maybe Steph Curry has a shout. Maybe Jalen Brunson has a shout. But I'm going with Jokic, and I think he'll win this award. For Coach of the Year, this has been a one where I've heard a lot of mixed opinions. You've got J.B. Bickerstaff, of course, in Detroit, who led the resurgence in his first year, and I thought that was really cool. You've got Ime Udoka in Houston. They're a 52-win team, jumping from outside of the play-in to the 2 seed, which is an incredible jump. You've got J.J. Redick in his first year with the Lakers. They're a 50-win team. Likely didn't see that coming. You got Mark Daigneault, of course, the Thunder, 68-14, best record in the league, and they're just, dominating with a lot of young guys on that team. But I decided to go with Kenny Atkinson of the Cleveland Cavaliers. I think in his first year for the Cavs to be 64-18 in the first seed in the East, that's pretty incredible. They've been the number 1 offense this year, number 8 defense, And they've had contributions from so many different guys. Adding DeAndre Hunter in the midseason was so big for them. And Kenny Atkinson has just been the orchestrator of it all. He's really put guys in good position. I really like the lineups that he's thrown out. And they look legit. They look like a legit team, man. And I don't know if they'll, use that to propel them to a finals run. But he really has the Cavs in an amazing place. Going into the year, I had them as my 8 seed. I had them as my 8 seed team, which looking back on it, I'm like, how in the world could I have done that? Like, that makes absolutely no sense for me to have them that low, just looking at the way they played this year. But they've proved me and a lot of others wrong, and Kenny Atkinson has really, really done a great job with that team. I've got JB Bickerstaff second, and I've got Ime Udoka third for that award. Getting to some all-NBA teams, I'll just run through these teams here. My first team all-NBA, of course, I've got Shea. I've got Nikola Jokic. I've got Giannis. He's my third place guy for MVP. I've got Tatum here. He's my fourth place guy for MVP. And I've got Anthony Edwards. I've got Anthony Edwards as that last spot. I think he's pretty cemented as the best shooting guard in the league now over my guy, Devin Booker. I know Jacob loves to hear me say that. But, yeah, I'm going to go with Ant. I know that Donovan Mitchell's got some love here. I know Steph Curry has got some love here. But I'm going to go with Anthony Edwards. My All-NBA second team, I've got Jalen Brunson. I've got Donovan Mitchell. I've got my dog, Cade Cunningham, with the Detroit Pistons. I've got LeBron here on second team in year 20,000. And I've got Cat, who's had quietly a really good season in New York. So I've got both of the top guys in New York here with Jalen Brunson and Cat. Donovan Mitchell would have been the only guy that would really contend for that last All-NBA first-team spot with Ant. But I decided to put Donovan on the second team. Really good year from him, though. And Cade Cunningham has just really been the engine that makes that Detroit team go all year long. His numbers are incredible. And I'm really excited to see what he does in his first playoff appearance. All-NBA third team. I've got Steph here. I've got my guy Devin Booker, who has quietly had a really good statistical season, which I don't think should be overlooked. I've got J-Dub as my second Thunder guy here. J-Dub's had a really good year. I've got Evan Mobley as my second Cav. And this last spot was tough because you could go a lot of different directions. You could go with Jaren Jackson. You could go with, oh man, I'm blanking. You could go with Kevin Durant, but I decided to go with Alperen Şengün. We had to have some Rockets representation on here with them being the second seed and all. So Al P is going to be my guy holding it down on the third team. Getting into these rookie teams, I'll just blow through these rookie teams. First team, I've got Stephon Castle, Zachary Reese-Shea, Jalen Wells, Zach Edey, and Alex Sarr. Our rookie second team, I have Bub Carrington, Modest Buzelis, Kyle Filipowski, Kel'el Ware, and Donovan Clingan. Shout out to my boy Kling Kong. All defensive teams, man. All defensive teams are ones that I have really, really been tripped up on. And I've seen a lot of people be tripped up on them this year. If there ever was a year to have an all-defensive third team, this would be the year where we really, really need it. And I wish that's something that they would do going forward. But all-defensive first team, I decided to go with Dyson Daniels. I decided to go with Lou Dort, Amen Thompson, who has had an absolutely insane year with the Houston Rockets, Evan Mobley, and Draymond Green to round out my all-defensive first team. My all-defensive second team had show love to my guy Toumani Camara. I really wish I could have put Toumani on the first team. He's been my favorite player to watch on my Blazers this season. I got J-Dub here. I've got Giannis. I've got Jaren Jackson Jr. And I've got Zubac, who I watched Kenny's video yesterday. He had him as the best drop coverage big in the NBA this season. I think that's spot on. Zubac is a guy that I think could get some MIP love as well. He's had a really, really underrated season with that Clippers team who just wrapped up the 5 seed today after beating Golden State. And Zubac has been the second or third best player pretty consistently on that team all year long. Shout out to Big Zoo. Those are all the awards though, man. we look at these play-in matchups, and on Tuesday in the Eastern Conference, we'll have the Hawks and the Orlando Magic. I like the Magic to get it done in this game. I don't really have much to say about these Eastern Conference games. The Eastern Conference play-in is, it is just what it is at this point. You expect to see the Hawks, you expect to see the Bulls and like the Heat. The Magic will hover around there most likely. Although myself and a lot of others had them, doing pretty much better this year. I had them around like the 4 or 5 seed, I think. But missing Jalen Suggs definitely hurt for them, and missing Franz and Paolo for the time they did. I think they'll take care of business, though, against the Hawks, and I think that'll set them up for a first-round matchup against the Boston Celtics, which I really think could be interesting. 9-10 in the East, of course, is the Heat and the Bulls. I like the Bulls. I like the Bulls in this one, the way they've been playing lately with Josh Giddey really stepping up. Kobe White has been on his usual March heater. He was Eastern Conference Player of the Month in the month of March. And they look pretty solid. The Bulls look pretty solid right now. I like them to get it done. And I like the Bulls actually to beat the Hawks to get the 8 seed. I think the Bulls will get the 8 seed and play the Cavs in the first round. That's how I see the play-in going in the Eastern Conference. In the West, Grizzlies get a tough matchup against the Golden State Warriors. Jimmy Butler had a knee injury late in today's game, so that will be worth monitoring going into the coming days. But I like the Warriors to get it done, especially at the Chase Center on Tuesday against the Grizzlies. Kings versus Mavericks. I expect the Kings to roll unless Anthony Davis just has a game of all games. I think the Kings' offensive firepower is just too much. And if you didn't know, by the way, the Kings employ Jonas Valanciunas. He has literally made every single play-in of all time. And he wins almost at least one play-in game every single year. So I think this will be the game that they win, which will set up a Kings-Grizzlies 8-9 game. And I think the Grizzlies get it done in that 8-9 game playing at home. I expect them to win, which would set them up against the OKC Thunder. Yeah, that's a tough one for the Grizzlies, tough draw. But that's the way I see the play-in going. Yeah, like I said, man, playoffs are going to be really fun. We've got some of these matchups already set. In the East, we've got Knicks-Pistons, and we've got Bucks-Pacers. We'll see if Dame can come back. I heard some buzz today that Dame could potentially be back. Maybe not by Game 1 or Game 2, but maybe later on in that series we could see Dame, which I really hope, because last year in the Bucks-Pacers series, of course, they missed Giannis for the majority, if not all of it. Which really hindered them in that series. So I hope my guy Dame can come back in that series to make it a really good one against the Pacers. And we'll see what the Pistons can do, man. We'll see what the Pistons can do against the Knicks. Out West, Lakers versus the Timberwolves. That should be a very interesting series. With LeBron and Luka against Ant and Julius Randle and Rudy Gobert, who's been playing some amazing basketball lately. I think that will be a very fun series. And I really think the other series that we already have locked in the West will be a fun one as well, with the Clippers and the Nuggets. If you remember, I was on here, an episode or two ago, doing my playoff matchups that I would like to see, and the Clippers versus the Nuggets was one of those series. So we got it. We at least got one from that video, and I'm really looking forward to what that one could be. But next time we're on here, hopefully me and Tanner, like I said, we'll get into a deeper dive of all of the playoff series. We'll have the play-in games done at that point. But yeah, man, just really excited. It's postseason time. It's one of the best times of the year, best time of the year for an NBA fan. I also want to give a shout out. If any of you are here to listen to my Blazer fandom, I want to give a shout out to the Blazers this year for a really fun year. 15 win improvement from last season. They extended Chauncey Billups today, extended Joe Cronin, the general manager, earlier this week. 2 moves that I'm glad about. And if you would have asked me about a year ago, especially about the Chauncey extension, I probably would have been like, Are we sure about that? And honestly, probably halfway through the season, I would have thought the same thing. The Blazers were 13-28 halfway through the season. They finished the season 36-46, 23-18 the second half of the season, with one of the league's best defenses. Like I said, Tumani Kamara, that's my guy. Denny was great. Shaden Sharp. So for those of you who are, here to hear about my Blazer fandom, you'll be hearing more of it in the near future, as they're expected to be a team on the rise, and I'm really looking forward to it. So I had a lot of fun watching my favorite team this season, even though they're not going to be making the playoffs. But yeah, it's playoff time, it's postseason time. I hope y'all are locked in like me, and let's get to it, man. Let's get right to these playoffs, this postseason play. I thank y'all for watching this one. If you want to leave a comment talking about awards, let me know who your award winners are, and we'll get that conversation cracking. But until the next time you see me, which is hopefully next week with Tanner, I'll check out for now. Peace out, everybody.